Welcome back to Orlando, CID 2019. This is the last day of the, what do you guys think so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go 2 more days. No, only kidding. Okay. Let me see your mouth. He has a Bluetooth in there. That's what he's going to talk about. This is Paul. Hey, I started Clarion in 1987. When did you start Clarion?
89.
89. So what did you do before 87?
I was a warehouse manager.
What were you doing? Housing up Clarion software?
No. We sold laser printers and copiers and stuff like that. The company started getting computerized. I was fascinated by the process. So they said, we don't know how to support these things called laser printers. How would you like to do it?
Laser printers.
And so they gave me 60 days to buy all their equipment. And I don't know why. My wife, I think, thought she loved me or something, and so she helped me finance it all. And that's how I started.
He started a business. They gave it to him.
Yeah, they gave me the business, and then I had to make a go of it.
Good. And Clarion helped you, your business?
Later on, yeah. One of the first guys I hired said there's this cool thing called Clarion, and it's so much cooler than DBase.
Well, Bluetooth is
We know the
cool
story.
Too. So tell us about this thing.
I'll do that.
Welcome, Paul.
Thanks. All right. Good morning, everyone. So, who's heard of Bluetooth? All right. What Bluetooth things do you have with you right now? One of these? How many of you have a Bluetooth mouse? How many of you are pretending to be healthy and have a Bluetooth one of these? How hard is it to use Bluetooth? Takes a couple of minutes to set up. You usually have to have a little authorization code, and then it just works. Does anybody remember when Bluetooth was originally started? Any ideas? I'll give you a clue. It was announced at Comdex. Okay, who in the room knows what Comdex is? So there you go. And really, from 99 on, takes a couple of years before a few Bluetooth things start becoming common. By 2006, already 1 billion Bluetooth devices, and that's probably when we start running into it personally. I think I had my first Bluetooth mouse about 2007. You had to have a dongle to add to your computer. Around that time as well, some operating systems are starting to support it well. Mac started in about 2002. Windows was a little slower. I wonder why. And over the last several years, Bluetooth has gotten to the point where it's part of the Internet of Things. So just about every gizmo and gadget now has some sort of Bluetooth connectivity. Anybody remember Windows XP? Exactly. So it started with some pretty primitive support. By Windows 7, this whole extended response stuff, vendor profiles, it starts working somewhat better than before. At that point, these gadgets really work automatically. What do you guys use Bluetooth for? I have hands-free in my car. I use that a lot. I tried to use a Bluetooth headset. I tried to use it one time when I was going to do a presentation on Clarion Live, and it failed on me in Windows. Anything else you use? Anybody here have an unusual use for Bluetooth?
LED support.
Oh, cool. LED support. Anything else that's a little off Stamos? Really?
Wrong glasses on, sorry, I can't see.
Yes, pill bottle caps will talk via Bluetooth to your
Your
phone,
prescription.
run an app report on whether you take your medication or not.
That's a really
They
interesting.
exist today.
Perfect. That's a really interesting use. That's not one I knew about. Any other unusual uses?
First true hearing aid Bluetooth has just come out, can connect with any Bluetooth. Maybe
Oh.
that's one you haven't heard about either.
So I can
They've had
connect
pseudo
my.
Bluetooth before that where hearing aids talk.
Oh,
Hearing
interesting.
aids talk to dongles that hang around your neck. Now they have true Bluetooth that will talk to anything and won't drain your battery from
Oh.
hearing aids. That's new too.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's certainly not something I knew about. Is there someone there?
We use a new device for our Quick Chip technology, and Quick Chip is the new way that credit cards are being done these days. Nobody wants to sit at a grocery store line and put your card in and wait 10 seconds. Quick Chip is a dip and pull technology, and this device is Bluetooth enabled for that.
Cool. And I got into this because we have a time and attendance program, and the people who need to clock in are construction workers, and so they end up having to carry a wristband that's always on their hand, and they just walk by a Bluetooth reader, and it picks them up. We looked at RFID, but you have to be within so many inches of an RFID reader, but the Bluetooth works really well, and there's far fewer kind of restrictions on distance within 4 or 5 feet. So all kinds of cool stuff that Bluetooth does. Anyone, well, Mark, we should ask Mark about Windows Mobile. Apparently, it used to be a thing, and Bluetooth was really supported well on that and Windows. And some of these things now might work with your operating system. So, in Windows, Bluetooth is a really, really big mess. And I'll just show you here. So here I'm running something called Fusion. Those of you on desktops would know, PCs would know about VMware. So this is the Mac version of VMware. And this is the version of Bluetooth that they emulate on my MacBook. And aside here and a fail, I run something called Boot Camp, which lets me run Windows on a Mac. And it crashed on me a couple days ago, and I haven't been able to get it going. So I can only do part of this in this virtual environment. But this little utility, which will be included in your notes, lets you figure out which version of Bluetooth your device supports. And that's really important because, as you saw, as time went on, more and more capabilities were added. And a lot of that is provided by vendors, but especially in Windows 10 now, Microsoft is starting to provide some native Bluetooth support. And here you can see, so when we'll actually do this, when you go, if you're interested in following along, You go into Device Manager, you go into Bluetooth, you go there, you go there. Here's what it tells me under Advanced, that I have this LMP4, and that's what this decodes, is that's actually Bluetooth 2.1. Isn't Microsoft helpful with all the information they give you? This is where I was going to do some cool stuff with Bluetooth Explorer. So, sorry. Oops. There you go. So if you look for Bluetooth LE Explorer on the Microsoft Store, that's an app you can download, which will give you all kinds of information about all the capabilities that, Bluetooth capabilities that are already installed in Windows, and also depends on, like if you have a dongle, one of those little USB things that provide you with Bluetooth capabilities and so on. This is a great utility for letting you do that. It won't run in emulation mode on my Mac. So that's, what, my second or third fail for today? And these other links, again, which you will get, have all kinds of information about what you can do. So what can we do with these things right now in Windows 10? So let's walk through this. Has everyone paired their phone to their Windows 10 computer? So why don't we walk through that? So you do that by clicking on the Start, the gear icon, Devices. Everybody with me? Add Bluetooth or other device. In my case, it's that. And I've already paired, because it took me about an hour to get this thing to pair, so I'm not going to do it. But if you click on this, it will eventually bring up your phone. It may bring up a pairing number, and you need to have your phone open and confirm that it's all happy to do that. So once you've done that, if you go into Accounts, Sign-in Options, there's an interesting feature called Dynamic Lock. And if you enable that, when you walk away from your PC, or you can simply turn your Bluetooth off, your PC will lock automatically. Now, why would you want to do that? Exactly. And so this is where the razzmatazz and razzle-dazzle will come. Apparently, I had to use Clarion somewhere in all of this presentation. And so there's an amazing application with the coolest of UIs. You all really want to take notes. That looks just like that. And what this does is this actually just tells you whether you have dynamic lock enabled or disabled. Sometimes I'm able to turn it on and off through the app. It really depends on your user access control settings. So in the program, if you click on this, 10 times it tries, and if it's not successful, you see that it hasn't changed it. On my desktop app, on a PC, I am sometimes able to change it programmatically. It's one of those funny things that Windows is not allowing me to do this. I'm sure there's someone in here who's an expert at mucking with the registry that could help me out on this. We have users who will walk away from their computer and not sign out, and so we've set them up with this dynamic lock. It works really well. However, with some remote situations, that doesn't work. So what we have also done is we either give them the ability to click a button, or we just do it on a timer, but we do this. And so instead of worrying about logging people out of your application, we go to the Windows lock screen. And we found that that's really solved a whole bunch of problems with people who don't do what they're supposed to do. Have any of you been able to get onto the dynamic lock and try it? Any luck? No? And that's about all I've got because I failed in making boot camp work on my PC. Any questions?
What were you going to show us?
I will include the code for that. There's a little bit more enumeration you can do with Bluetooth, so you can be a little bit more aware. The thing with Bluetooth is that you really have to have a specific use for it. So some cell phone manufacturers, Android I know does this a bit, and this is a Samsung phone, have apps that will integrate with Windows, and so there are certain things I can do with that. Not everyone has a Samsung S10 or an iPhone, XR or whatever it is. So you really need to have a specific reason for it. My point was that even though Bluetooth can be a little bit complicated, you can get information from Windows about it, and you can appropriately respond to that.
Okay, we got an online. Dinkle asks, how can I connect my phone to my PC in such a way that I can connect to localhost NT web server on the PC from the browser on the mobile phone? Did I read that?
Yeah.
So there you're really talking about networking, and some phones, and the Mac certainly allows me to do it. I can transfer files back and forth to my PC with my phone, but that's really a networking function, and so the phone and the PC have to support using Bluetooth as a network protocol. The odd one does that, but that's really what you're asking. So that's simply a transport protocol. Does that make sense?
Okay. Don asks, Paul, have you tried to connect to a Bluetooth scanner?
Like in a retail store or something like that, where you scan barcodes.
Yeah, not a Bluetooth scanner. We've certainly connected to Bluetooth printers. Haven't tried it with a scanner.
I guess a follow-up from the first question about the networking. Do you, in general, get access to the file system? Like, can I access the file system on my phone from my Windows PC?
You can access the media, yeah. So you can access your, you know, your pictures and your music.
Okay,
That's a relatively common thing.
cool. Any other questions? Anyone? Oh, there's one over there.
Not really a question, just a statement. I did a project for some hardware using Bluetooth communication.
Right.
And Texas Instruments have some great software to diagnose bit streams over Bluetooth.
That's right, they do. There's Broadcom. There are a couple of them that the vendor-specific stuff is great. It's one of those things that, like I said before, mice, keyboards, like HID stuff works really well under Bluetooth. But once you start getting past the stuff that's been well worked out and supported, you kind of have to fight your way through it all. And vendor support, that Explorer utility that comes in the Windows Store is also useful. No more questions? Thank you.
Okay, I guess maybe we gotta do some prizes.